My music education philosophy begins with a clear distinction between two simple pronouns, I and we. These pronouns are used so often on a daily basis, but in the music classroom, they hold two very distinct and valuable meanings. Educators usually always stop at the I. When an educator starts making a lesson plan or thinking about what to do with their class, they always say, well, okay, what do I want to do next? What do I want my students to know? What do I want to get across? Teachers never realize that they aren't the ones learning or sitting in the classroom. Being an educator, the I pronoun has to be forgotten about. The one pronoun educators have to worry about is we. In an article from the Music Educators Journal of March 2009, Deborah V. Blair writes, "There is a difference between activities where the teacher makes all the musical decisions and those in which student collaborations and contributions enable learner ownership of the musical process and product. Many of the practices that have found their way into general music classrooms are activities where students are doing things, and while that doing may occur when music is happening, the ways in which students are engaged in these experiences allow little space for thinking musically."
I think it can be very beneficial to teach band or class as a we rather than I. Although I will say that somebody has to have the vision for what needs to transpire in the learning process. So that could be facilitated through the instructor, but then also including the students in that process. Well, I run a lot of our ensembles here at FIU in a we versus I situation. In particular, the symphonic band, where I may be rehearsing a piece and maybe a particular portion of that piece, and I'll stop, and instead of me analyzing what went right or what went wrong with that particular section, I'll ask the band, how did you perform? What did we do right, and why did we do it right? Or what did we do wrong, and how could we fix that? Because they're very perceptive, and by doing that, by teaching that way, it encourages them to be more proactive in the learning process, number one. And number two, it provides the students ownership with the program. They feel like they're investing in the program because they're helping to decide how that rehearsal is going, or how that piece is going, or how to fix it.
Okay, so my freshman year in high school, our band director would basically just rehearse things until we got it to the way he wanted it. So we would just do things over and over again and not really learn anything about music, just basically do the piece how they wanted it.
The whole notion that enters the teacher's head when teaching should be about the student. An educator should always focus on having the student gain something from everything they do. It shouldn't be that an educator should instruct a class on how to do every little thing in an assignment or a normal lesson. There should always be room for the students to do their own thing, make mistakes and learn from them, or just have enough room for their own expression. If students did not have this room to teach themselves and do things their own ways, or be involved in classes and lessons where the teacher does not think as the class learning and teaching as a whole, then the connection between music and students would be stale. This is where the we pronoun comes into play. A classroom isn't about the students being taught by the teacher. No, it is about every single person teaching each other and learning together. Once the we pronoun has been established, everybody has a chance to learn and connect to music, rather than being drilled by an educator on how to do something, or being taught in a way that does not reflect their needs or their wants. I would make my class entirely we-based. Of course, I would still hold the reins to the classroom, but everyone has the freedom to critically think, to express themselves, and to most importantly, explore. In my we-based classroom, I would make sure every student has the ability to connect to music and dwell on it. I would make sure that every student gets feedback, thinks deeper about what is going on, and finds deeper meaning in all of the things they do and uncover in the classroom. In short, I would give students a map to the treasure, but it's up to them how we reach the treasure at the end. My vision is clear, but I'm missing experience in the classroom to fully realize how I would do this. I'm sure with given time, students will help me and give me the answers needed to do so. After I finally have the answer, I can connect students to the music and music to their entire lives. I will find paths and ties between music and things like cultural diversity, between classical music and contemporary, and so much more. I will allow students to discover the stories behind mysterious and famous pieces and their composers. Discover the emotion and thought that went into today's music. To discover music as a whole and then bring it all together and allow students to make their own music and express themselves like the artists and composers they ever so adore. Students will not retain information that educators seemingly drill into their heads. They will not be jugs holding in water. No, students will be able to participate, enjoy, explore, and appreciate music. Music will affect each and every student in some form, whether it's small or a change to their entire life. Whatever the effect is, I will allow students to find it. I will make sure I do my best to create an open and free environment and allow students to discover music and its beauty.